I have a PowerPoint up right now that we're going to go through a few slides. We do have this set for a half an hour, and I'm going to tell you guys that there's enough information with any one of the topics that I'm going to hit on here that we could have our own 30-minute webinar for each one of these. So I'm going to go through these briefly. And what I'd encourage you to do is if you're a Sage partner, if any of these strike a nerve as far as you think one of your customers might have a fit for this, reach out to us. We can dive into those individually. And if you're using Sage or already a ScanForce customer, and again, the same thing, if that hits a nerve with you, reach out to either your partner or directly to us and we can dive into these a little more deeper. All right, so let's get started here. So let me switch screens here. Quick introduction for those of you that don't know me. My name is Steve Showalter. I am the Director of Sales here at ScanForce. And the quick agenda that we're going to go through here is our CRM solution. No, it's not what we think of when we think of CRM. It's container receipt management. We're going to go into details on that in a minute here. We're going to discuss put away and replenishment, a solution we have that we refer to as transfer request management. We're going to talk about sales orders and some features within sales orders that we handle. Allocations back to sales orders. What a product we call InstaShip and Ship All. And I'm also going to do a demo here. So again, we're going to go through these slides here relatively quickly. All right, so the first one I want to talk about here, the first thing I want to talk about is just a quick kind of introduction to ScanForce. Maybe a lot of you do know us or have heard of us, but a lot of you, this might be your first time dealing with us. So I'm not going to read this verbatim here, but bottom line is that ScanForce is a company that produces solutions designed to run on mobile devices. That's where we're experts, whether it's an Android or iOS device, doesn't matter to us. And what we do is we write solutions that seamlessly integrate into ERP systems like Sage 100. We've been doing it for a long time, and our solutions, we strive to make them easy to use while being feature rich. And it really centers around inventory and process control. One thing that we also really adhere to is the proverbial not putting the square peg through a round hole. We want to make sure that whatever we provide to our customers is a perfect fit for them. And when we get a customer, it's really a customer for life. We have our customers that we treat very well, and we make that a priority here. A little bit of background here. We didn't start doing this yesterday, basically, and we have 20 employees with locations across the country here. We have quite a few installs also. And one thing that's a bullet point here that I want to mention is one of the things that we kind of pioneered in the Sage industry here, and we really perfected, is creating solutions that function whether you're connected or disconnected. So one big thing that we strive on is having mobile solutions. Well, to be mobile, even in this day and age of Wi-Fi being everywhere, you can't really have a mobile solution or be truly mobile if you're dependent on being connected at all times. So ScanForce solutions work whether you're connected to network or disconnected. And even when you're disconnected, we give you things like data validation, even data lookup. So it makes ScanForce flexible in terms of how real-time you want it as well, but being flexible to be truly mobile. As I mentioned, it works on all different types of devices. We focus on that seamless integration to ERP systems, and the solutions we provide have to be easy to use. Just listing a few notable customers here just to kind of show you guys that, again, we've been doing this for a while, and we have the trust of a lot of these bigger name companies utilizing the ScanForce mobile platform and our integration into Sage 100. So let's talk quickly, before we get into these advanced distribution features and functions we want to focus on today, let's do a quick recap of what ScanForce does offer. So we have our WMS solutions. For those of you not familiar with that to me is just simply the receiving and shipping and then the inventory side of things like counts and moves. Now there's a ton of things within what I just mentioned there, but that's what the WMS is, receiving, shipping, and inventory. And we have 3 versions of that. As I have listed there, fundamentals, advanced, and premium. And with each one of those comes a more robust set of features, if you will. We also do label printing. Not every product, surprisingly, is barcoded these days. So on the receiving side of the solution, we offer the ability to have that seamlessly integrated into the receiving programs on the mobile device, so you can now label your products, putting item numbers on there, serial numbers, lot numbers, compound barcodes, different types of barcodes, all of that. Whether you're producing something, using the ScanForce manufacturing suite of solutions, our labeling integrates with that as well. And on the shipping side, if needed, you also can simply just print from within Sage. You don't necessarily have to have a handheld for that. We also offer a mobile sales solution. This definitely falls in the category of having its own webinar, but it does allow you to create orders, quotes, invoices, master orders, even credit memos out in the field, again, connected or disconnected. Emailing orders and invoices off to customers, collecting credit card information and processing those remotely, signature capture, just to kind of name a few there. And the last thing that I want to mention before we dive into the details here today is our manufacturing options. So we automate the bill of materials module in Sage. We have many options within that, even features like staging components to be used for production. We automate the work order module that is obviously going away, but we have that solution, still have quite a few people using that. And now with the release of the production management module, our mobile solution for that will be completed at the end of this month. And we've also made this so that it is compatible with the DSD ScanForce multi-bin. So the production management module does and will continue to work with that module there. And then again, ScanForce on the mobile side of it has our solution as well. We'll be able to automate those transactions within production management. Last note on that, there will be a webinar. You guys should see information for that coming out. That'll be towards the end of January that will actually showcase our solution for that as well. Last thing mentioning really quickly here, there's three things I want to hit on that really sets ScanForce apart. One is speed. So speed is an important part of any solution. We did something called a 1,000,000 record challenge. Hopefully a lot of you are going to say, yes, I've heard of that. For those of you that haven't, a quick rundown of that is we loaded 1,000,000 records into the database, into Sage, and it took over a day using Visual Integrator to get that in there. The important part of that is with that many records in the system, ScanForce was able to provide a return rate of less than 0.03 of a second. So speed obviously equals productivity and savings. And when you think about this in the real world, if you're out picking a sales order, and we've seen other solutions in the market that do this, you scan a record, it thinks, and then returns a valid or invalid scan. You magnify that over however many items and how many lines on a sales order, and that can really start to slow you down out there. ScanForce is instant. That's a big part of our solution. We always strive to make that an important piece. Also, our software and our solutions are intuitive from a user standpoint. They're just easy to use. They're also easy to install and maintain. And you never want somebody out in the warehouse or shop floor saying, wait, what am I supposed to do next looking at a screen? Our screens are very easy to use. The last one here is our support. So we have a full development team. We don't farm anything out. It's all done internally, which allows us to be extremely responsive, providing lead times that are reasonable, and also supporting our solutions. All right, first thing we want to touch on here today is our CRM or container receipt management. And what I want to address first is what problem arises that has this be something somebody should look at. So a lot of times this comes up when somebody is ordering items from a vendor that is overseas or just very far away. All right, one of the things that our customers tell us is, listen, I own these items the second that they leave the dock over there, but I might not see them for weeks. So there's that in-transit delay of the items actually getting there. Well, you need to account for the ownership of these items. You need to show them in your accounting system that, hey, listen, I own these items now, but you don't want to show that quantity available to be sold in your Sage system. So how do we go about doing that? Well, we wrote our CRM package here. So let's hit on this on point by point. One of the important things is this solution does not require a multi-bin install. So you can utilize this with or without the DSD ScanForce multi-bin. It really is a process for tracking those items prior to physically having them arrive on your docks. What we do is you have your purchase order, and the items on those purchase orders get tied to a specific container at receipt of goods. So as soon as you get word from your vendor that, hey, these items are shipping out now, what we found is typically our customers using this, they get the details of what items and what purchase orders are on a container. When you do the receipt of goods back in Sage, we give you the ability now to specify a container. If only a partial PO is on there, then you do a partial receipt tied to that container. You can then go back and receive it again, tie it to a different container. Most common application is multiple POs coming from the same vendor and they're just grouped together. But we give you that traceability there. Also, what we do is give you the ability to validate now what was supposed to be on those containers by the use of a mobile device. So our standard receipt of goods would just look to the data on a purchase order, making sure it comes in. This operates very similar. It's just going to look at a receipt history tied to what you already created there and also allow you to reference that as a container. So again, you get full validation and see what happens as far as did they ship me the correct items. What you get also is that visibility of these items by a warehouse and or bins. What you do is you set up an in-transit warehouse. That's where you're receiving the items into initially. Then you get the validation of items and quantities on the scanner. And then when you send that data back to your Sage system and it creates the transaction, it's actually going to do a transfer, removing those items from that in-transit warehouse and now placing them out into your main warehouse or main bins where they're available to be sold and used. Don't have time to demo everything here, so I want to show some screenshots of this. First one on the left there simply just shows the container receiving is the third one down. It's an actual transaction option for us. The user in the next screenshot there would be prompted for the container number, which you can barcode if you print that off, or as I'm showing in that third lookup there, or the third screenshot, that's a lookup. So it looks like we buy a lot from Dan's Barcode Emporium. So we have 3 containers there, and you'll see how it lists out the container number. So the user would select the container, and then what it's going to do is default to the warehouse that was referenced on that receipt, or on that purchase order, actually, I'm sorry. And you'll see I have mine set to 555. It's an in-transit warehouse. Now I tell it, where am I going to move these items to? In a multi-bin install, I'd also be able to indicate my bins as well. The next thing you do is start indicating your items, and you can scan those items, key them in. I have as the last screenshot there simply just showing what it would look like for the item number lookup. So you can select from there as well. Once you select items, it's going to validate, hey, is that a correct item for this? And then it's going to also validate the quantities as well. Again, end result is a transfer back in Sage. All right, so moving on to the next item here, we're going to talk about put away options. So the problem simply is just, where do items go? I have them, I bring them in, I receive them in, but where do I place them in the warehouse? That can actually be a pretty big problem here. So with ScanForce put away options, you have the ability to do this from a mobile device. So it's an individual transaction in our WMS Premium, where you're actually going to do a put away as a transaction. The concept there is you bring items into a receiving bin, hold them there, and now you put them away or transfer them. So it's a separate transaction. We show you the primary bin on the mobile device that helps direct the user. This is where this item is supposed to go. We also utilize the quick transfer feature within the DSD ScanForce multi-bin. So once you do say, hey, I'm moving this out of, again, my receiving bin, let's say, over to the primary bin, which you would still have to indicate the bin there. Once you're done with that, it instantly connects up and it'll go ahead and create that transfer for you. So again, it's completely real time. In the event that you are disconnected, it would hold that and then push the data over when you're connected. Another thing that you can utilize are some features within the actual multi-bin solution. So there's replenishment and put away. One thing you can do is enter a replenishment. Now this would typically be done if you're not using scanners, and then you can update that. And a replenishment could be to stock, overstock, or put away as well. So you have different types. Now another common thing that people do is they create a replenishment selection. So it's basically creating the criteria for this replenishment then. Then what you can do is print a put away report. And then that would be what is used and given to the warehouse workers to then go ahead and do that put away that I mentioned at the beginning with the ScanForce scanners. So this gives you a more detailed and controlled way that you want to, or more sophisticated, I guess is the best way to put that, manner in which you want to put items away. All right, moving on now. This one takes a little more time to go through. So we're talking now about the transfer request management solution we offer. So the problem this addresses is when you need to move items from one location to another, and this commonly comes up with customers of ours that have warehouses that are geographically separated, maybe by states across town or whatnot, and they need to kind of restock things accordingly based on one warehouse being without and one having more of that item. So what happens is that the incorrect items end up getting picked. It's just like picking a sales order. You grab the wrong items to be transferred, you grab the wrong quantities, and it just creates a mess. What we've done is created a way to go ahead and give you that validation. And again, we have 2 versions. The first version of this is our TRM Lite. And what we do is we utilize a sales order, just like, again, shipping a regular sales order, as the document for items to be transferred off. So basically, excuse me, you would create a sales order in your Sage system for the items and quantities you want to be transferred. Our recommendation, and really the best way we found this, is to create a customer in your Sage system called internal transfer. On the mobile device, then, the user indicates the to and from warehouse and then selects which order they're going to go ahead and do the transfers for. They go grab the items and quantities, it's validated instantly, and then upon import back to Sage, we actually do that transfer for you. So we're not shipping the order, but that's the document we utilize to make sure that the items are in fact transferred correctly. The TRM Plus does all of that I just mentioned, but we add a few things in here. We add a checkbox at SO entry to indicate that's the type of order this is. That's going to come into play here in another minute, but that's one of the first things you can do. So you're able to separate your orders out. Are they real orders or are they orders to be transferred? You're actually able to, at the order entry side of it, indicate the to warehouse back in sales order entry, and then we'll look to the from warehouse information on the lines. Okay, so instead of, if you look back for a second there at the other column, you're indicating on the mobile device the to and from warehouse. We take that ability to choose out of the user's hands and do that back when the order is created here. Quantity on the order can be referenced as and categorized as transfer complete. So what we mean by that is that we're going to look to see you requested 10 to be transferred. Did you actually transfer 10 with the scanner? So we can actually categorize that order as a transfer complete. The next item there, lists an optional thing you can turn on, which would again go back to that type of order in the transfer complete to then delete that order once it's completed. In the Lite version, you would have to kind of maintain that manually. You'd have to go back and delete the old orders. This version takes care of that for you. The other thing we do is that we'll actually direct you, like in picking a sales order, where to go based on bin locations. So this works with non-multi-bin, and it'll just simply sort by bin locations. With multi-bin, you may have multiple locations to go pick those items from, and that does then require the ScanForce WMS Advanced or Premium, so it's not available with our Fundamentals version. I do want to touch on our dashboards and our management console. A lot of you have hopefully seen this, but this is a quick snapshot of our dashboards as it relates to sales order. These are configurable, they're graphical, easy to look at, and it's showing us the status of sales orders in our system. In our dashboards, it's maintained in a separate database with a separate login, but we're maintaining everything that's happening on the scanners. And this relates back to the orders here in Sage 2, when you can control what it means as a ready to pick, meaning, do I want this to show all my orders that have a ship date of a certain date or a certain carrier? So you can control what that actually means there. And then it tracks, are they being picked? Are they ready to pack and have they shipped? And then there's a status right there in the middle that kind of shows all of the orders. Within these, you can drill into them and see details. What orders are they that are actually listed through there? And our next release of our dashboards that will come out will actually allow you to do order prioritization. So you can pull up ready to pick, and there's a little grid there icon. You can click on that. That expands that out for you. And from that, you could highlight an order as a priority order, meaning that order is the next one that needs to be picked. Maybe I'm approaching my shipping deadline for the day. I see that. I need to make sure that order gets out. I can highlight that. That's the only order that will be available for the scanners to pick. Once that's picked, then they can scan anything else. And furthermore, we're going to allow you to assign an order to a picker. If I have a certain person out in the warehouse that's my most responsible, I want that person picking it. I can actually assign that to them. They'll get a notification on the device then as well. Another component of our dashboards is more of a KPI, seeing who's doing what, these key performance indicators. And this is giving a snapshot of how my pickers out there are doing. So the first column there shows orders that were shipped by user. You can see purple and orange are shipping the same. It looks like great, but we give you additional details there. Lines shipped per user and then quantity shipped per user. In this particular example here, it looks like the person in purple appeared to be doing the same amount of work as the person in orange, but really they weren't. 82 lines to 36 lines, and even the quantity shipped is far less. So you can kind of keep an eye on who's doing what out there as well. The last part about our dashboards and management console I want to highlight today is the management console side of this, and there's a transactions section. This is where we literally keep everything happening on the scanners, and you can control how you want to look through this. I have this screenshot narrowed down where I'm looking at it by user. This is a little small, possibly hard to see, but it lists things out by users, and then you can expand that and see each transaction type by user. So inventory transfers, physical count, for example, I have that expanded out, and that gives you the details. So we keep things like the transaction time and date, a start time, stop time. This expands out to the right quite a bit. So if I were to scroll off to the right, if this was a live demo, I can show you all the other information. You can do things like filter by order number. Again, you can look at all data at one time. You don't have to do it in individual users. But you can look at a particular item, a particular order, a lot number, a serial number, see the detail for that. A common example of this would be somebody does a physical count, sees a variance, wants to see who did that. They go in here, find out, oh, it was Steve. You know, what was going on? Why did you miscount that or whatnot? You can see that detail here. And then there's an export button on the right-hand side towards the top of this screenshot here. You can actually narrow this down, basically creating your own reports and then export them out as a PDF, Excel spreadsheet, or into an Access database. All right, the last part here before I jump into the demo, I know we're running short on time because we started a little late. I apologize for that. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly here. But what we have as far as sales orders are concerned are the allocations, okay? So if you're not familiar with this, this is the reservation of an item in quantity from a particular location as it relates to multi-bin. You can do that for a particular order. Now, you can have this automatically occur, and there are rules within multi-bin you can set up as far as what determines what bin that actually is allocated from. Like, for example, first in, first out, the oldest lot or the oldest serial, or by receipt date, primary bins, etc. This can happen at a few different points. So if you want this to automatically occur, you can do this when the sales order is created, when you print a picking sheet, when PO receipt of goods is updated, which can be automatically done from the scanners as well. You receive your items in, send it over, and then it can automatically trigger the allocations, or from the scanner, meaning when I access that order, nothing's allocated yet, but I'm now ready to pick that. I indicate the order from the scanner, it connects up and does the allocations for me, which then brings it back down to the scanner. The concept here is using these pre-allocations. By doing a pre-allocation, so you're reserving this prior to going and actually shipping this order, you're then able to do what we have listed next there, which is a directed picking. If I know the bins and the quantities I need to go get, I can tell the user on the scanner and sort, once again, the bin locations, where to go and what to get. Without that allocation and pre-allocation, I don't know. It might be in 10 different locations and there's no data for me to go ahead and direct somebody other than simply saying it resides in these following locations. So that's why it's important for efficiency. There's the other concept here of staging an order. A lot of our customers pick items for an order. That order may not ship until the following week or a few days later. They don't want to generate that invoice until it goes out the door, so we allow you to stage that order until it's completely shipped. We have InstaShip and Ship All. These are features within our software as well, or additional enhancements here, and they're kind of the same but kind of different here. InstaShip, what that allows you to do is if you have now staged an order, you can pull this up on the scanner as a separate transaction and say, all right, here's the order I want to ship, next order I want to ship, next order I want to ship, and then boom, it takes that as everything was picked complete and shipped complete, and it goes out the door, okay? The Ship All kind of does the same thing, but it's an actual button within our sales order shipping. So once you stage an order, then you can go ahead and go back through and validate each line item, quantity and items and whatnot, and then send it back over to your Sage system. Or if you have Ship All from us, it adds a button there where you can say, all right, I want to double check this, but now this, I'm going to ship the rest of the order, and it'll then ship the rest of the order complete. So InstaShip is a much quicker way of doing that. Ship All is, again, an option when you're actually shipping it. And the last thing here is our pick to pallet. So I'm going to go into that and show you guys that. And what this does is it's going to allow you to actually determine how items are grouped together by pallet, by package, however you want to look at that, at the time that you're picking or staging the sales order. And then on the outbound side of it, all you do is scan a pallet ID or select the pallet that you're shipping, and it goes ahead and ships that entire pallet. So an example, if you have lotted or serialized items and you go ahead and stage an entire pallet with those, you don't have to then rescan all the serial numbers and or lot numbers, or again, if you have a mixed pallet of different items, you don't have to mess with going and scanning those items. You can go ahead and just shoot a pallet ID tag and it knows what you're doing. So let me go ahead and pull up. First thing I want to show you guys here is on the sales order side of things. So I'm in my Sage system. I'm going to pull up an order that I'd already created, and I already have the bins allocated. So here are the items that are on this order, and when I select an item here, here's the bin distribution field that's going to show that this item here is already allocated from bin location C1B. All right, so each item is already allocated here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to the scanner here, and what I have is just an emulation setup. No matter what device you would use with ScanForce, this is what the screens are going to look like. Again, easy to use. I log in. Here's my main menu. I'm going to go into order processing, and I'm going to go into my sales order picking. So I'm going to indicate my order, which I could do by scanning. I could key it in or tap the lookup. It'll connect up real time and show me all of my orders that are available for me to pick. I'm going to cheat and key that in. It connects up and grabs that data from my Sage system now, and it's going to ask me, all right, where are you picking this to? So you can have multiple pick to locations set up, and then pick to, you know, like an Amazon bin, for example, or shipping 1, shipping 2, shipping 3, and so on. Or if you're utilizing one, you can have it set so it defaults to that, so the user doesn't have to scan a bin. What they can do is hit accept. Now, here's the interesting thing. We've sorted by bin locations. If you guys remember, 6655 was the item I just selected as the first line item on that order, but it has the lowest bin here, so it's sorting by bins. So again, I walk my warehouse in the most efficient manner possible. We also have the ability to indicate the package. Similar concept to what we've always done on the shipping data entry side of things here. We're just doing it now at the staging phase. So I can have this set so I have to force my users to scan items, or I can allow people to select from this lookup. Either way, allowing to select from this lookup allows somebody maybe with a forklift that can't necessarily scan a barcode or doesn't want to spend the money on long range scanners to still be able to use this, select it, and say, all right, I'm going to grab my item D1000. Now, I'm going to confirm my location here, and out of the 25, let's say those fill up an entire package, so I'm going to say, or pallet, and I'm going to say, yep, I picked my 25. That drops off for me. Okay, now at this point, I can print my pallet tag if I wanted to for pallet 1, or I can wait and print them all at the end. That's fine. I'm going to go to my next, and there is a feature we have that when you increment packages or pallets by simply tapping on that, that would trigger that label to print off for the previous pallets. Then I can slap that on there, go grab my next item. Let's say all 10 fit on here. But now I have a little bit of room left in this one. So out of the 50 here, I'm going to keep these on. Confirm. And let's say 30 of these. All right. So I'm going to continue on here, go to my third package or pallet. And again, I'm clicking on this. Scanning barcodes is obviously the fastest way to go through this. Anytime it's prompting you for data, you can scan a barcode. And it will still validate that as well. So if I did happen to grab something incorrectly, it would go ahead and alert me to that. Now, I'm done picking this, and I've staged these to pallets. This arrow sends the data back to my Sage system, but I get an overview here showing me what I've collected, and if I had skipped any line on that order, they would be listed here as unresolved lines. And when I go to send my data, we would actually warn you that you have unresolved lines. So it's an actionable dialog box that the user has to indicate that, yes, I skipped stuff and I'm doing it on purpose, or they can review that, then see what they skipped, and then correct that mistake then. Now, when I send this back to my Sage system, it's going to connect up and import back over. And what it does is it'll actually write back to that sales order now. And if I pull up a line here, you'll see that now it's showing the bin that it's allocated to is shipping. So it changed that now. It's no longer in that location it was originally in. I grabbed it from there. Now it's showing that it's allocated to the shipping bin. And we did an instant transfer over here. So if I pull up that item in my Sage system, and I go in to see the multi-bin details here, you'll see now I have those 50 that are in staging. So it instantly moves those. So again, it's real time. You get to see what's going on with that, and it changes it back to the sales order. Now, the last thing is that's been staged. I now need to go into my pallet shipping, and I need to indicate my order. I'm going to grab my order. Now it wants to know what package, and this is where you can scan the pallet ID tag, or you do have the lookup here to go ahead and select, all right, I'm going to ship pallet 1. Boom. That drops off. Ship pallet 2. So again, you're able to simply go and indicate pallet by pallet. Once again, scanning the barcodes would be the easiest way there. And the big thing here now is all I do is scan pallet ID tags. Boom, send my data back. And now that's going to create the shipping transaction back in my Sage system. So when I go into sales order, shipping data entry, select my shipping batch here. And here is the order that we just shipped. And you'll see the detail broken down by package here. So we passed that package or pallet information over to shipping data entry as well. So you'll now be able to see the details of what's on each package or pallet. So again, it streamlines the process of you packing orders up, placing them on pallets or grouping them together, and then wanting to carry that over into shipping data entry without having to re-enter that a second time when you do the sales order shipping. All right, so now we have gone through all of this here, and we'll open it up if we have time here, if everybody still has a few minutes. Kind of went as quickly as I could, starting 5 minutes late. If anybody has any questions, we can go ahead and handle that now. And Darcy, if you're on, I don't know if it's best to have them submit those via the chat.
I'm on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep, there should be a questions panel in the go to webinar window. Here's one. Can you send us these slides? Absolutely, we sure can. If anyone else would like the slides, just go ahead and type in the question window and we can send it to you. Okay, a couple more people saying they want the slides. We'll get them to you.
All right. And again, everybody, I understand we went through a lot and we went through it very, very quickly. I'm not one that has an attention span much past a half an hour, so that's why we like to keep it short, but there was a lot of information there. So if anything that you guys need more data on, you know, let us know. There's a lot more information on each one of these components, more so than just even the slides.
Someone asked, are there other recordings you can watch to get some more information in detail?
Yeah, guys, we do have some other recordings even on YouTube. We're also kind of revamping a lot of those. And if you have anything that you want a little more detail on, let us know. We can do a quick recording, send that over to you, or connect up with you. But yeah, there are some out there, and there will be more to come as well.
Okay, not seeing any more questions.
All right. Well, I appreciate everyone's time today. I appreciate you all sticking with us in the beginning there to get this going. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. My email's up there, steve@scanforce.com. Email me, visit our website, give us a call, 305-370-3377. Reach out to us if you need anything else. And again, I thank you all.